Mabuhay! Good day to all! I am your tutor Madge. Welcome to ETUlay, a free online tutorial, an initiative of the Department of Education, Information and Communications Technology Service, Educational Technology Unit, ICTS EdTech. This program is aimed at helping and assisting learners from kindergarten, senior high school, ALS, Alive, and SPED learners. Aside from answering the modules, the ETUlay is offering programs which you will surely look forward to. Together with our parents and teachers, the ETUlay will bridge the gap where difficulty and ease meet in learning new knowledge and skills. So, let us prepare our modules, pen and paper. Ready your mind to see and hear worthwhile and interesting lessons. Let us now study and learn, together with our volunteer online tutors. Tara na!
Hello to our tuties for grade 3. Yes, so I see that you might be wondering because you are seeing a new face here on your screen. By the way, as you can see, I am Tutor May, and I am very proud to teach you in our session. So we are missing Tutor Dre's and Tutor Arnell, but we know our tutors are very active teachers. That's why we cannot have them today. But I'm very happy to see the messages of our students here in the chat box. Thank you for flooding our comment section with your lovely messages. Let me start with our early bird for today. Actually, the first one who I saw in the comment section is Enrico De Lupan. Hello, Enrico. Kuya Rico, see you later in English 3. I will also be there. Hello to Perubin, Micah, Lorraine, Alriza. We also have Gray, Zerny. That's a very unique name. We also have Eunice, Ella, Mark Platon. Hello, Paula, Renz, John Joseph, Rizel, Janelle, Danette, and many others. So everybody, I have a very special request for you. Kindly share our session for today so that we will be having more classmates, more online classmates with us. I know this session will be a fun-filled session like what it has always been every Tuesday at 1:40, but I am encouraging everyone to have or to share this learning experience to more grade 7 learners all over the Philippines. Okay, before we start, I know that we have a hiatus. That's a word to add in your vocabulary bank. Hiatus. We have a hiatus for 2 weeks. So that's 14 days. Can you tell me what happened to you in that entire 2 weeks of no ETUlay? Na-miss nyo ba ang ETUlay? What are the things that you learn, especially na nagkaroon tayo ng very pivotal elections. This election, 2022 election. Thank you, Querubin, for sharing our session today. Plus points yan. Plus ligtas points yan. Just kidding, but thank you so much. I appreciate when you are sharing our session. Okay, so back to my question. What are the thoughts that you realized during the 2-week hiatus of ETUlay? Anong nangyari sa inyo? Sabi ni Dairy, I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly, got anxious with the election. Yes, no, this election, like what I said, is very pivotal. So when I say pivotal, importante siya, and we can see in foresight that there will be big events that will be taking place because we have elected our next president. Okay, so keep your messages coming in. I will be sharing my screen now. So I hope that you will be seeing my screen without any problem. Again, we are missing Tutor Drace and Tutor Arnel, how dearly we miss them. But don't worry, we will have them next session. Okay, so ayan po yan, no? So remember, every 140 to 220 is for English 7. So we are live in our DepEd ETUlay page. We're also live in our DepEd ETUlay YouTube channel. So if you're watching in FB, or you are watching on YouTube, that's not a problem. And I pray that you will be sharing this session so that many other grade 7 learners can learn with us. So we are now on the third week, yes, of our lessons for quarter 4. Yay! 5 more topics, and we are down to the last part of this school year. So that's 5 Tuesdays to come. And we have successfully ended the school year 2021-2022. Okay? I miss you, grade 7 learners. Syempre, mas miss kayo ni Tutor Drace and Tutor Arnel. Ayan. So, merong isa dito, sabi ni Mark pala, before I proceed, I exercised my right to suffrage. Okay, suffrage, suffrage, is another word to voting, right to vote. Okay, so when you say suffrage, that's the right to vote or the voting itself. Okay, so thank you for giving us another word to add in our vocabulary bank, Kuya Mark. Okay, keep your messages coming in and I will try to read them later. So let's proceed again. We are now on the third week of quarter 4, and our lesson will be determine the worth of ideas mentioned in the text listened to. So when we determine the worth of ideas, the big word there is scrutinize. Okay, scrutinize. I will spell that to you: SCRUTINIZE. Okay, scrutinize. Now, grade 7 learners and to our learners from different grade levels, I appreciate your presence here. Do you have any idea what does scrutinize mean? Again, the word scrutinize, SCRUTINIZE, that's how it's spelled. What are your ideas? What do you think is the meaning of the word scrutinize in relation to our lesson for today, determining the worth of ideas? Okay, so let me see if you have any idea to that word. Okay, so I'll be waiting for your answers in your comment section. It's okay if your guess will be like a very far guess from the real definition of what that word is. I just want to see how well you know that word. Renz here said examine more closely, and that's, yes, the synonym of the word scrutinize. But yes, it's not just examining or inspecting something. There should be an adverb of manner of how we will be examining or inspecting something, especially ideas. We have to examine or inspect it thoroughly or closely, especially in this age of information. How sad that we are battling with misinformation. How ironic is that we have lots of information around us, but we have to conquer lies and elaborate misconception that are now in our environment and surrounding, especially in the virtual space. For us to know how we can scrutinize ideas listened to, we will be basing our lesson from the module made by Suxurgen. So thank you for the writers of this module. We owe this to you. So our learning objectives for us to scrutinize ideas correctly, appropriately this Tuesday. First, to distinguish hearing and listening. Second, appreciate the importance of listening to an effective learning and communication. And the last is apply strategies to effectively listen in daily life scenarios. Wow. Okay, so if you are ready to scrutinize ideas with me, especially ideas listened to, can you please comment a heart emoji in our comment section? So again, if you are ready now to scrutinize ideas with Teacher Nay, can you comment a heart emoji in our comment section? And I can see some of you answering study, inspect, study, and search. Yes, thank you very much, Arvik, Sudari, Jeric, Mika, some of the few who have commented a heart reaction in our comment section. I appreciate that. Okay. So first of all, our exemplary duties will be revealed by Shooter Ernel and Shooter Drace. I know I am not worthy to reveal our exemplary duties from the previous section, previous session, which is the second session of the fourth quarter. So if you are really waiting for your names to be called, sorry, this is not the session, pero I know that in the in the next session, in the fourth session, Shooter Drace and Shooter Arnell will reveal your names. That's something to look forward to. Now, moving forward, let's activate your prior knowledge because we have a 2-week hiatus. Let me see if you can still remember our lesson last 2 weeks ago. So here are the directions. Identify the correct answer in each item. Type the letter of the correct answer in the comment section. Okay, are you ready? Let me give the first question. Okay, which expression shows one's attempt to repair breakdowns in communication? Breakdowns are usual. So how are you going to repair? Okay, so choose in these following choices. A, oh, I see, I get your point. B, pardon me, what you were saying few moments ago. Okay, so between these two choices, kindly comment number 1 and then the letter of your answer. Which of these expressions shows an attempt to repair breakdowns in communication? Is it A or B? Okay, so I got the first one to answer the question, and it's Suderi, and her answer is letter B. I don't know. Your avatar here is very small. So if I am misusing pronouns, if you are a he instead of a she, sorry. Okay, so let's see if B is the correct answer. And yes, that is the correct answer. A is more of accepting an idea of another person whom you are talking to. Okay, breakdowns are again normal in communication, but when you are communicating, make sure that if breakdowns happen, you will manage it as your way of being a good communicator. Okay, next, number 2, which expression shows one's attempt to clarify something? Here is clarifying, huh? Let's have letter A. So are you trying to say that I need to go there today? Or B, I'm afraid I don't know much about it. Okay, so we are now on number 2, and I will be waiting which of these expressions shows one attempt to clarify something. And congratulations, everyone! Most of you answered correctly. That's a nice show of your understanding of the previous lesson. Okay, now the first one to answer is Micah or Nika, and her answer is letter A. Letter A, and most of you also answered letter A. Let's see if that is correct. Oh no, it's letter B. Why is it not letter A? Okay, so hindi pala ibig sabihin na kapag letter A mostly yung sagot ng marami, we just copy the answer. We have to think if that is really the answer. Now, let's figure out. Kasi I know in your head, you're also clarifying, bakit hindi siya letter A? Bakit letter B ang sagot? Look at the expression for letter B. I'm afraid I don't know much about it. And That's an indirect way for you to say that I need more explanation. Therefore, you have to clarify something to me. When you're clarifying, it's not always asking the person to explain further. You can make a declarative sentence, which is what is the sentence on letter B. I'm afraid I don't know much about it. But if you understand the declarative sentence, that means that the person has not enough knowledge about the thing you're talking about. Therefore, you need to clarify and explain further. So I hope I am making sense. And now you get to understand why B is the correct answer. Now let's look at letter A. So are you trying to say that I need to go there today? I think that's more of like not clarifying but actually confirming what someone has said, and you can also see the hint of sarcasm in letter A. So parang ganito, so sinasabi mo ba na dapat magpunta ako doon? Okay, so you can see a tone of defiance here. So the person is not asking to be clarified, but that person is mirroring the thing that was said to him, and there's a tone of defiance, if I am making sense and if you're getting it. Okay. Number 3. Melissa nodded when asked by George if she has eaten lunch already. Nodding is an example of A, verbal communication, B, non-verbal communication. Okay, nodding. So what kind of communication is that? Okay, is it A or B? Okay, so Jarek is the first one to answer, and his answer is non-verbal communication. Well, this answer is a giveaway because nodding does not need any words. So it's a non-verbal communication. Grade 7 learners and to our learners here from different grade levels, communication, especially non-verbal communication, is very important. Okay, so there are most of our communication is like this: the person is saying something, but his or her gestures do not meet with what he or she is saying. I mean, the gesture does not reflect what he or she is talking about. Why is that? Because 70 to 80% of communication is nonverbal. Okay, so example, if I have a job interview, and then the person interviewing me ask, "Are you ready for this interview?" And then I said, verbal communication, yes, I am ready, but I am fidgeting, I am shaking. That's nonverbal communication, right? So that means, yes, I am ready, but internally, I might not be ready because I am so nervous. So you get to see how communication will have a different layer if we take into account the power of nonverbal communication. So we see here that if we want to really understand what is happening around us, we have to be really particular with these kinds of communication, especially nonverbal communication. So I hope you will take note of that. Let's go to number 4. Which of the following scenario shows verbal communication? Okay, A, the president answering the questions of the reporters during a press conference. B, putting an index finger on one's mouth to warn noisy children in the corridor, or putting one's index finger over one's mouth to warn noisy children in the corridor. So the first one to answer, so Dairy, it's letter A. Okay, very good. So, well, for number 4, you have the clue there, the keyword answering. And when one answers, one needs words, right, to answer the questions, especially by the reporters in the press conference. Thank you so much. And I can see that most of you or all of you answered letter A. Okay, so now let's go to number 5. Which of the following scenarios shows non-verbal communication? Here, non-verbal naman. If number 4 is verbal, let's see if you can still have the correct answer for this item. Eliza frowned when she found out her chocolate is gone in the fridge. Someone got it. B, Mario explaining himself to Eliza why he ate the chocolate in the fridge. Okay, number 5. Okay, number 5, here we go. What is your answer for number 5? Okay, so the first one to answer, it's, yay, ang bilis talaga. It's Danette Gansataw, letter A. Yeah, non-verbal communication. So let's see that is the correct answer. Yes, okay. The facial expression actually says something. Have you ever heard of the expression that Um, silence is very loud? I think that is in the lyrics of Taylor Swift in one of her songs. Ah, Sabi niya doon, "I've never heard silence quite this loud." So silence, facial expressions speak even though that person is not saying anything. And when someone frowns, it's either that person is sad, disappointed, angry, mad, ballistic, because in this case, someone got a licensed chocolate. Sino ba dito yung mahilig sa chocolate? Okay, let's see in the comment section. Just comment like reaction if you like chocolates too, like Eliza. Kasi me, ayan, thank you, Lorraine, the story of us by Taylor Swift. Yes, I love Taylor Swift. You know, I'm a Swiftie. Ayan, si Nick mahilig daw sa chocolate. I'm a Swiftie. And I like listening to Taylor Swift. Okay, ang daming mahilig sa chocolate pero ingat-ingat lang tayo laging mag-toothbrush after natin kumain ng chocolate. And I know you can relate with Eliza pag may kumuha ng chocolate niyo sa refrigerator or kahit saan niyo man nilagay ang chocolate, 'di ba nakakainis? Okay, so that's non-verbal communication. So let me see how many correct answers did you get from the activity. Okay, so maging ano tayo ha, maging truthful tayo sa ating scores. How many correct answers did you get for this previous checking of previous knowledge? Okay, so namimik si teacher yon. Checking of previous knowledge. Did you get 4? Did you get 5? Okay, if you get 5 or 4, that means you understand the lesson. If you got 3, and 3, 2, 1, that means I think it's better for you to be reminded of the last lesson. Okay, the first one to answer is the dairy, 4/5. It's okay if you got 1 mistake. That means you can learn more. Okay, so there is an opportunity to learn. Okay lang yan pag nagkamali kasi matagal nga naman yung ating last session and some of the questions here are confusing. Okay, so now let's move forward. Thank you for those who shared to us their scores. Okay, so let's have a new lesson for today. Okay, so I know you can see these pictures. You have these 4 pictures on the screen. And what do you think is the word that we can come up with using the 4 pictures? Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 letter cues here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the entire word that we are looking for is a 9-letter word. What do you think is this word? Tingnan nga natin kung tama si Kuya Mark Platon because he's the first one to answer and his answer is listening. Tama kaya si Kuya Mark? Okay, actually si Kuya Mark isa yan sa pinaka-active na students natin dito sa ETUlay. Alam ko active na kayo kids, no? And I really love you for that. However, si Kuya Mark kasi, nung nabuo yung ETUlay, nandiyan na siya with us. So we are very much appreciating the presence of Kuya Mark with us. Tama si Kuya Mark and the rest of our class, it's listening. Congratulations, learners. Okay, now, before I give some of my insights here, why listening is an important skill, I want to listen and hear you share your thoughts, okay? To our learners here in the ETUlay session, why is listening an important skill? You know, language has 5 skills. May it be like learning English or learning Filipino, sa kahit anong lengguwahe, meron tayong 5 pagsasanay or 5 macro skills. Listening, speaking, writing, reading, and viewing. Especially because we have so many multimedia materials now, we have added viewing as part of the macro skills in language. Now, I want you to share your thoughts. Bakit yung pakikinig importante. Why should we listen, or why is the point of listening? Okay, especially right now that we have so many materials, especially on the internet in the virtual space. Why what is the purpose that we should still listen? Okay, the first one to share her ideas, Eliza Ocampo, because listening lesson teacher during teaching, learning all subject. You mean to say because listening is important to learn a lesson? Well, that's that's a good answer. We also have Angela. Listening is an important skill because we need to listen to gain more knowledge and lessons. Okay, that's similar to what Eliza have shared to us. So, Jerry, it's important because it would help us to gather the correct information and avoid misinformation that may mislead other people. I love your answer. One last. I know you have many answers here, but sorry, I cannot accommodate everything. One last from the net. It is important for us to listen since it helps us to be more knowledgeable of the things and events happening around us. Okay, we listen every second, every minute of our lives. And since I cannot really mention all your answers, thank you for sharing us your answers. I know your classmates are also reading what you have shared with us in the comment section. Uh, listening, we do that every second, every minute, diba? Example, when we are sleeping, we can still see and feel that we are listening, hearing things around us, diba? Kahit natutulog tayo, especially na nagigising tayo pag tumitilaok na yung manok, tumutunog na yung alarm clock, or naririnig na natin na naghihiwa na si nanay ng kamatis, sibuyas, naghahanda na siya ng almusal sa ating kitchen. Listening is very important, especially when we are communicating, you know. You cannot speak, you cannot communicate properly if you don't listen. So I want to put our conversation, our learning here today in the context of communication. Okay, so we do listen, we do hear many things every second, every minute of our lives, but we are putting the context of listening in effective communication when we are communicating. Kids, communication is very important, especially if you grow up and when you deal with other people, because you might not appreciate you might not appreciate communication in this very early stage of your life, but later on when you deal with other people, when you get to be in business, when you get to be a professional, you will appreciate here the skills that we are trying to teach you to make your communication effective. Okay, so why is listening important? Aside from your answers, very good answers, it assists you in understanding better a listening text. Okay, some of the texts that we are dealing with, especially in learning a lesson, learning a subject matter, it's not just being read. We also listen to different materials. It can be podcasts, okay? It can be videos on YouTube. Ako, I really like listening to the podcast of TED Talks. I also subscribe to podcasts in Apple on YouTube, 'di ba? Kahit nakikita lang naman natin sila na may malalaking microphone, so that's still a podcast. And yes, it makes us understand information better. May it be in a listening text. It helps us to think of concepts on your feet. Or it helps us to think of concepts on our feet. Anong ibig sabihin nun, Teacher May? When we are thinking concepts or when we are thinking on our feet, that means you're thinking without much time. Kasi pag nakikinig kang maigi, nakakapag-process ka ng information. And when you can process information quickly, without much error, that means when you say something, it's more appropriate, it's more correct. Okay? Na-experience nyo na ba yung hindi ka ganong nakikinig, tas pag tinanong ka, ang layo ng sagot mo dun sa question na binigay sa'yo? 'Di ba? That's kind of embarrassing, but that demonstrates demonstrates to us the power of listening. When we don't listen carefully, when we don't lend our ears, diba, to the person who's talking or to the material we are listening, we cannot grasp the ideas that object or subject is sharing to us. And if we cannot listen carefully, we're not inviting ideas to go in our brain. And if ideas do not go successfully, thoroughly in our brains, we cannot process them appropriately and thoroughly. So we cannot scrutinize them for that matter. Therefore, we cannot answer appropriately. Or sometimes it's not just answering, we cannot act appropriately based on what one has said to us. Okay? And when we listen and when we get to maximize, to make our listening skills more powerful, it makes us a better person and communicator. So when we are listening, no, meron tayong iba't ibang klase ng pakikinig. Minsan nakikinig din tayo sa mga kaibigan natin, di ba, bes, nag-away kami ng nanay ko, bes, away kami ng another friend ko. So, when you are listening, especially to someone who needs comfort, you really have to do emphatic listening. You have to change the way you listen to a person, lalo na pag may problema siya. 'Di ba? Kasi later on, manghihingi yan ng advice. Pero yung advice naman natin, hindi susundin. 'Di ba karamihan naman ganun? Pero it matters when you listen to a person, especially if that person is needing a person to listen to him or her. Emphatic listening, diba? So there are so many types of listening. But yes, when we know how to make our listening better, it makes us a better person and communicator. Now, let's know the strategies that we must know when we are listening to a text, okay? It's academic listening. If teacher has something to be listened to, ano bang gagawin natin so we can really get the main ideas, okay, of the text we are listening to. First is to concentrate and pay attention. Diba? Kahit minsan, ako naranasan ko na to na nanonood ako ng YouTube, but I am working on something, therefore I am just listening to it. Pag nakikinig ako and hindi ako nagko-concentrate and pay attention, hindi ko gaanong nagagrasp yung pinakikinggan ko. It's because your focus, attention is divided, right? So listening should have good focus. You cannot really get the ideas and you cannot really make sense of the ideas being shared to you if you will not focus on the act of listening. So focus and get a handle on things being shared or told to you. Okay, remember that. Second is listen for meaning. So when you listen for something, you need a purpose. So it's like reading, diba? We read for a purpose. Then when we also listen for something, we listen for a certain purpose. Are you listening to this person because that person has a problem? Emphatic listening. Are you listening to a person because he needs he has a problem and he is seeking solution from you? You need to listen differently because iba yun kasi merong problema yung tao na gustong hingan sa'yo ng solusyon. You have to provide him with a solution. That's a different kind of listening. Are you listening because you want to get an idea and later on there'll be a test, parang sa school? Ibang klaseng listening din ang gagawin natin. So when we listen, we have to listen for meaning. There should be a purpose when you are listening. And right now, it's starting to rain heavily. So if ever I will be encountering a connection problem, that's a very sad thing for me. Pero I hope you are safe in the place where you are, and if it's raining already in your place, I hope that you will be safe and you will hang with me. I mean you will still be with me until the end part of our session. So save the important ideas. When we say save, sasalain natin. Especially when we are listening, not all ideas are important. So when you are a good listener, you can save you can save automatically na eto importante to. I need to remember it. Eto hindi importante to, therefore I can forget this. I can set this idea aside and take what matters so that I can respond appropriately to this person. And you do not always listen for everything. If you were a good listener, you can determine that this person is talking with sense, this person is talking nonsense, if you get what I mean. Next is link past and current learning. When you are listening, for you to be able to understand appropriately what is being shared with you, alamin mo how these ideas being shared with me connect to what I know already. Or if something is being shared with you, alam ko ba tong idea na to or hindi ko pa alam? Kapag hindi ko pa alam, hindi agad ako maniniwala. You have to be scrutinizing ideas. Tama ba tong sinishare sa akin? Since hindi ko pa to alam, tama ba tong sinishare niya sa akin? Para malaman ko kung tama or mali yung sinishare niya sa akin, I need to verify information by going to internet and looking for primary and secondary sources. Di ba that's a lesson also taught to you by Tutor Drace and Tutor Arnel, knowing primary and secondary sources. So you cannot scrutinize an idea. You cannot examine, inspect an idea if you do not know how to use primary and secondary sources. So if you can use primary and secondary sources, then you can verify information and scrutinize the information being given to you. Grade 7 learners in our comment section, as early as young as you are, you must know how to scrutinize information. Do not add to the problem of misinformation nowadays. Always seed a question of curiosity and curiosity and the attitude of questioning things. Bakit ganyan? Bakit ganito? You always have to question because there are things you have to answer. There are things that you need to help us with, especially in this age of misinformation. Now, let's test your knowledge of all the things that we talked about today, especially how you can listen appropriately. Type true if the statement is correct and false if the statement is not. Okay? Number 1. Okay, ready? If you are ready, sige nga. Kindly comment a like in our comment section. Okay? So I will be waiting for your answers. Ayan, lumalakas na ang ulan. Sana hindi nyo naririnig yung lakas ng buhos ng ulan sa aming bahay. Ayan, ready na si Danette? Ready na si Arvic? Let's have number 1. Listening is perceiving sound and receiving sound waves or vibrations through your ear. Is this listening or this is just hearing? What do you think? Is this true or false? Number 1. Okay, number 1. What do you think? Okay, sabi ni William, it's true. Is it true that listening is perceiving sound and receiving sound waves? Okay, sabi ni Micah, meron siyang isang, may sagot siya, sabi na false. So your answers are mixed. Actually, the answer for number 1 is listening is perceiving sound and receiving sound waves or vibrations through your ear. This is true. Okay, so there you go. I don't know. This is true, this is false. But for this one, this is actually false. Okay, medyo talit si teacher doon. Why? Because listening includes perceiving sound. But what is essential to listening is understanding and making sense of what you have heard. When you get sounds, that's only hearing. Nakikinig ka lang. Okay, pero pag listening, nakikinig ka, yes, you're hearing, but you're trying to understand what you have heard. That's listening. Okay, number 2, listening requires concentration to understand what you hear. Is this true or false? Okay, let's see for number 2. What's your answer? Does listening really require concentration? I think I have mentioned this. And the first one to answer is Suderi, and her answer is true. Is that correct? That's true. Di ba sabi nga natin, we need to focus. Listening needs undivided attention. Okay, number 3, listening enables you to process, evaluate, make sense, and respond to information. Is this true or false? Let's see if you will get the correct answer this time. And so far, I can see that most of you are getting the correct answers for numbers 1 and 2. The first one to answer is Arvik. Is that the correct answer, Arvik? Let's see that it's true, okay? Hindi ibig sabihin na nag-mention si teacher ng naunang sumagot, siya na talaga yung best para sa akin. It might be the speed of your internet connection. As long as your answers are correct, then you are on the right track. Okay. Number 4, knowing the main idea being communicated helps you be a good communicator. And thinking, is this correct? When you can save ideas, when you can identify essential information, does that make you a good communicator and thinker? True or false? That's for number 4. The first one to answer again is Arvik. Okay, baka malakas ang or mabilis ang internet ni Arvik sa kanila. Then, if that is true, then that's correct. Okay, so tama naman yun, di ba? Teacher emphasized that listening is very important. So sabi nila, magbasa daw tayo para marami tayong malaman. We can improve our vocabulary, we can know more things around us, but aside from reading, we also have to listen. Dalawa kasi yan. There are two ways from which you can receive information: when you read and when you listen. Okay, so it's not just reading talaga. You also know how to listen correctly. Number 5, listening well is necessary for you to determine the worth and significance of ideas. Does listening help you to scrutinize ideas? True or false? Okay, let's see. Let's see for number 5. Okay, if you will be getting the correct answer. Okay, nauna si Suderi and her answer is true. Let's see if that is correct, Suderi, and to the rest of the class who answered the same answer. And yes, that is true. So teacher, can we say that listening will really help us to be good to be a good communicator? Yes. Listening is very important. And aside from knowing to be a good listener, you also have to know what kind of listening you are going to do based on the situation at hand. Like what teacher said, yung kausap mo ba ay humihingi ng advice? Yung kausap mo ba ay nagtatanong sa'yo? Yung kausap mo ba ay nagsishare lang ng buhay niya? Share niya lang, no? What happened in his or her day. So it's important to listen for purpose and to listen carefully and to be a scrutinizing listener. Okay, so I hope you will take note of that. So here's our last activity for today. So I will be playing an audio and you will be answering the questions that follow. Okay, so before I do that, here's the printed information. So meron tayong printed information, and then you will also be listening to the information based on this infographic. Okay, so first of all, ang gawin muna natin, because the infographic in the previous slide is very small, kindly take a screenshot kasi yan yung gagamitin nyo din para sa assignment nyo or additional exercise. Okay, so I will be counting 5 seconds for you to screenshot our infographic. Tapos comment kayo ng SSD sa ating comment section for me to know na done na kayo. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so comment tayo ng SSD kung okay na tayo. Okay? Sige, SSD. Okay? So let's see if that is good na. SSD. Okay? Let's see kung okay na. Ayan, tapos na SSD. So, let's see if you can hear this. And this is a recording by Tutor Arnel. Okay? Hindi niyo pa ba narinig? Okay, let's see ha. Okay. Uh, I didn't really see. Hindi po, sorry, hindi daw narinig. Okay, paano ba ito? Okay, so let's see ha. Okay, so balik lang ako sa slide ko. Okay, stop sharing lang tayo. Okay, there, I see my face. Okay, and here you go. Sayang, no? I thought talaga naririnig niyo siya. Okay. So, ganito na lang because you cannot really hear the audio o hindi talaga narinig. Ash, snaky po. Okay. Meron nakarinig pero snaky daw siya. Pero the information, the audio is just the information from the infographic. That's why I asked you to screenshot the information. So, kung na-screenshot niyo naman yung infographic kanina, then there's nothing to really worry about. Okay, so balik tayo dun ha. I'm sorry for that. I actually, I thought you can really hear it. So again, if you haven't taken a screenshot, please take a screenshot because the audio kanina, it's just the information here in the infograph. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, SSD. Okay, so here's the graph that you will be okay, sorry. Here's the graph or here's the thing that you're going to do. Mention one of the ways COVID-19 spreads based on the infographic and the information you have just listened to and cite ways you can keep yourself and others safe from COVID-19. Okay? So, paki-screenshot din yung ating questions, ang ating activity so that you will know what to do and what to submit to Tutor Drace and Tutor Arnel next meeting, our 4th session. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, SSD. Okay, so there you go. Let's summarize our lesson. So hearing and listening are very different from each other. When we hear, that's perceiving sound waves, only vibrations through our ear. But when we listen, we try to understand what we have heard. Okay, so and listening enables you to process, evaluate, and respond to information. It also helps you make sound answers, conclusions, and generalizations. Now, before we continue and before we end our lesson for today, I want you to also share what you have learned. Aside from these things that you can see on your screen, I want you to come up with your own answer now that we have finished our lesson for today. Why is listening an important skill now for you? Okay, so again, Aside from these things that you are seeing on the screen, based on our discussion and sharing for today, why is listening an important skill for you now? Okay, so I will be waiting for your answers. I'll be getting the first three answers in the comment section. Again, the question is, after all we have discussed and shared in our lesson for today, why is listening an important skill for you now? Sabi ni Janela Peralta, listening enhances my ability to understand better and it makes me a better communicator. It also makes me it also makes me experience speaking. It also makes the experience of speaking more enjoyable to other people. That's correct. When you are a good listener, you can also be a good speaker. According to Lorraine, listening can promote effective communication. That's correct. And this time also, no, na yung iba hindi na nakikinig, we have to be effective listener. Okay? Yung iba kunwari nakikinig, pero hindi naman talaga. We should help people have good listening friends, or we should make ourselves good listeners so we can be better friends, better daughters, better sons, better relatives. Next, it plays a huge role, especially when we're gathering information. It will also help us to focus and fully understand any lesson. Others one, okay, by Bianco John Michael. Listening, once again, is one of the foundations of humanity's success as a whole. Exchanging vital information without the burden of trying to knowing it yourself is useful in the long run. Beautiful, John Michael. I love that. And I also love the answers in the comment section. Since I cannot accommodate all the answers, thank you for sharing that with us and your classmates. We'll be reading your answers. I love when you share what's on your mind. Okay? So, these are the strategies that we shared. Din kanina, focus, listen for meaning, and link present and past learning from what you have listened to. So these are the learning objectives that we achieved in our session. And this will be, well, just focus on the exercise kanina, yung sa infograph. Okay? So submit that to Tutor Grace and Tutor Arnel. Okay? So scan the QR code so that you can have an assessment for this lesson if you want an extra assessment. And you can also give me a feedback for this session. I love to hear what you experienced with me today, and I will be looking forward to hearing your thoughts, okay, and your feedback. Okay, so again, this is me, Tutor May, for Tutor Draze and Tutor Arnel. I would be looking forward to seeing you next time, and I hope you learned a lot in our session for today. So see you next Tuesday with Tutor Draze and Tutor Arnel. Bye!
Ang husay naman! Natapos mo ang iyong tutorial session kasama ang iyong mahusay na ETUlay tutor. May bago ka bang natutuhan? I-share na yan gamit ang hashtag #ETUlayLevelUp. Huwag aalis ha, dahil may susunod pang programa na pwede mo ring panoorin at salihan. Dahil naghihintay na ang iyong mga tutors. Happy learning dito sa ETUlay!